Woo! It's VGMpire 51. This is your host, Brett Elston, along with 3 special guests.
You call this episode Back on Track?
Back on track. The track being Big Blue and Fire Field. Who cares?
Why?
Because it's FC.
What about Mute City?
So Mute City all the way. Show me your moves, etc. Introduce yourself.
I'm Christopher Antista of the Laser Time Podcast.
I'm Henry Gilbert of Cape Crisis fame.
I'm Michael Grimm of Fame.
Nice.
He's gonna live forever.
The musical Fame?
Of the musical Fame.
Wow.
I love that.
So this is just an assortment of Captain Falcon quotes. Wow.
Man,
Is that like
the soundboard?
Is that the sound of his cold stare?
This little diamond up in his eye.
Yeah.
So this is an episode I've wanted to do basically since the show started, and actually the reason why now and not last December we did an F-Zero episode that was the Super NES, the N64, and assorted other games.
Yeah, I could have sworn we did this before.
We did. I specifically saved GX because anyone who's been listening to me and other places,
I know
whether it's Talk Radio this time, GX is this very near and dear to my heart because I'll get into why, but why now is the game is actually 10 years old this month.
Whoa!
August 25th, 2003. It came out earlier in the year in Japan, but we're not in Japan. We're in America.
Yep.
So we're going to do that anniversary.
Wow. Man.
10 years ago. And the reason it was such a big deal, and the song that brought us in is Pico. He's the alien racer dude who was in the original F-Zero. He's the green guy. My favorite choice in the original F-Zero, by the way. Do you know the name of that car?
Powerhouse.
You know the name of that car?
No.
The Wild
Stallions?
He died in Top Gun.
Goose.
There you go.
Wild Goose.
Wild Maverick.
I haven't seen Top Gun.
That would have been a great Top Gun if Maverick died instead in the middle of the movie.
Sorry to spoil the ending of Top Gun.
You can ride my tail anytime.
We should also point out that we have reservations at the Chuck E. Cheese to celebrate F-Zero's birthday. Got a cake from Safeway and everything. We encourage everyone to come down to San Mateo next week.
Funny you should mention that, though. There was the arcade version of F-Zero GX was AX.
Yes.
And it took me almost 8 years to realize why GX and AX.
Wow, really?
Because, X was on N64, GX was on GameCube, AX was arcades, so G and A is...
Was that the thing they found out, that the entire arcade version is on the GameCube
The disc was hacked finally this year.
Finally.
And it turned out that all of AX, which had some content that I don't think was in the GameCube one, and they found it all on the disc. And the reason it was there is because, like some of us know now, some of that data has to talk to each other, so it has to be on the disc. And what happened was you could carry some data from your GameCube game and AX.
You could bring your memory card 59 over to the AX station.
So the reason F-Zero GX is so cool, that song that brought us in, Pico's theme.
Why it merits its own episode.
Yeah, it's so much music. The soundtrack is 2 discs, but also just as a game. Like when I heard this opening, like aside from the dude's like sensual churnings, that's a very like building like
Speed.
It sounds. No,
Sorry.
don't bring Kiyoki into this.
Sorry.
So when the first video footage I saw of this, which again in 2003, internet was obviously prevalent and ran around, but the idea of like relentless trailers and gameplay videos, that was still not happening. So when I was working at Toys R Us, we finally got one of the demo discs came in, and it had this opening that was all these like at the time really gorgeous cutscenes of all these F-Zero characters modeled like in this weird style with this music playing over it, and it was like, wow, this is really cool. And F-Zero X got to a point where it was trying to take F-Zero into a cool territory, but GX was like Nintendo and Sega clearly spending a lot of time and money because the game is a technical powerhouse, 60 frames a second, widescreen support, progressive scan at a time when that was not a standard feature at all, with 30 cars on the track, and it was just here is Nintendo and Sega, their first actual collaboration on a game together, Amusement Vision. And this was like kind of swinging for the fences. And it was so profound that even though Miyamoto has since gone on record being like he doesn't really a fan of it, other people that worked on it were
Go
like...
back to your garden, nerdlinger.
Yeah. Whereas it's my favorite one by far. And it is like some of the people working on it were like, we don't really know where we could take it because we feel like GX was... We did everything...
as pretty as it could... Well... Now that they could make an HD one for the Wii U, you could at least see that. But yeah, it was better looking than most Wii game. Pretty much every Wii game.
It's still a very pretty game when you look at it. So Hidenori Shoji is one of the composers. He did Fighting Vipers 2, worked on Yakuza, and Daiki Kasho who did a lot of Gran Turismo stuff for Mike Grimm, which episode
Smooth jazzy.
Yeah, episode 48 was the All Racing Games episode, so check that out.
Part 1.
Part 1. Please, if you can come up with another hour of that crap. So this is kind of cut up into 2 parts, where Shoji worked on the track music, that is to say the actual levels, like Big Blue, Firefield, Aeropolis, I know you're all big fans of. Mm-hmm. He worked on those, whereas Kasho worked on the pilot themes, and I think there was actually some
Neo Daytona.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Daytona. Toshihiro Nagoshi is a producer of this game, head of Amusement Vision, and known for Yakuza Daytona USA, and at one point cited F-Zero as the inspiration for Daytona in the first place. Like, he felt F-Zero was like, that's what racing should be, is this pure sense of speed. And even in GX, it's very much, you don't have weapons, it's not Wipeout, it's not, I almost said Mortal Kombat, Mario Kart, or the kart racing game in one of the Mortal Kombats, let's say Deadly Alliance.
Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kart, damn it. That's really good. It's really good. I forgot my point, but...
I did have a quick question.
Yes.
From the content you were talking about, where they hacked the disc, was there potentially a Captain Falcon hot coffee thing that used pre-existing sound assets on the soundboard that you could hit right now to Perfect.
It might have been. Oh, damn it, I interrupted it.
Show me a moves.
Oh, you canceled the Falcon Punch.
Can you do
Takes
it?
time.
Show me a moves.
That's not even the same voice as...
Show me a moves.
All right, I got to go back to the well here. I'm sorry.
There we go.
It's still funny. But again, so the music. This is where my love. So I love the game. Period. It's this beautiful testament to speed and skill over everything else. All at 60 frames a second with 30 cars on the screen. Each car is an individual racer with a different hovercraft. Hovering 1 foot off the ground. It's just such a crazy speed-centric experience that's so unique to F-Zero that there's games that are similar, but to my knowledge, there's nothing that's just like F-Zero that you can say, well, we don't need an F-Zero. This game's doing that instead. Yeah. I don't know that game. If it exists...
I do like almost too fast.
Mario Kart 8 at least looks like it's learning some lessons from F-Zero.
Don't you dare. It'll be fine.
Did you play it at E3?
It's super. It's cool.
Yeah.
I loved Mario Kart 7 on DS, on 3DS. It was my only concern is the console Mario Karts have not been as good as the handheld ones as of late.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this is the one that changes.
The demo I played was a big step up from Mario Kart Wii, I felt.
Okay, well that's good. So the music. So it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around this, but so there's the track music and then there's the pilot themes. Now the pilot themes are really where I want to spend the most time because this is just madness. So the entire second disc or first disc, every single of those 30 Brit racers has his or her own theme. And when you have to write 30 theme songs, they're going to go all over the place.
And somebody probably doesn't have a bunch of rules and stipulations.
Yeah.
Like, dude, just whatever it takes.
Whatever you got.
Nuts.
You're a musician, musicize.
I need 30 tracks. I need 30 tracks by sundown on my desk.
Yes. And then we're going to...
Here's a synthesizer, a guitar.
Yes.
We're gonna, a man who can't sing.
And then we're going to deliver it by a carrier Falcon. So the pilot themes come in 2 varieties. The first I'll go into really quick, which is kind of just game music. It's this nice little like vignette of music while the character model poses and does Hulk Hogan like flexes next to their car, which you can zoom in and out with the X button and Y button and just do goofy stuff. But they're all pretty good. Even as game music, I think these are just solid things. It's just funny that they're kind of buried. Like you have to go 2 menus deep, 3 menus deep to actually get to this stuff.
Something most people I don't think would
not
ever
really
see.
Bother, but because I'm super into F-Zero and I wanted to dig, I'm like I bothered, and I'm sure most people who played eventually found these, but I was just blown away.
It sounds a lot like the trophy section from Smash Brothers, where it's like if you dig through the collection of trophies and you see the sort of just the render, and then you hear the music from that thing.
Yeah, only now imagine every trophy had its own theme song.
Yes.
So we'll go into the first bit. This is Kate Allen, and again, when you have to have names for all of them, they get into Gooftown territory pretty quick. Kate Allen, Mighty Gazelle, and apparently one of the racers' names was Michael Cain.
Oh.
And I did not notice this until I made the episode. And I'm sure we'll find that the music really summarizes the experience of Michael Cain.
Told you to pull over, and you didn't.
Michael Cain in the Harry Brown is his call.
So we'll do those 3 and be right back. seem to be having some fun with Michael Cain.
Michael Cain loses a race. He gets very cross indeed.
Very cross.
Very cross.
It's a reference I don't get.
He does it. His voice lowers.
You haven't seen How to Imitate Michael Cain, the video?
No, I haven't.
Starring
He was only 13 years old.
Alan Parsons himself.
Show me your moves.
He has one of his secrets is
Partridge.
that he never blinks when he
Steve
races.
Coogan.
He never has to blink.
It never has to be.
It makes him a
He's
stronger
Michael Cain.
racer.
So,
Why do we race? I'm really
so
asking.
we can win.
This is a profound question.
So we can win.
Because we're all racing against ourselves, aren't we?
So I had
I can't trust you'll never use this car again.
I had a theory I've stated before about why Miyamoto didn't like GX.
Lay it on me, Hank.
Well, it's because it was too hard. Like he
It is.
doesn't.
It is. It's too hard.
It was way too hard for me. Like I could play the first, a few cups of the thing, but like especially in the story mode to unlock stuff.
Story
like,
mode, yeah, we'll get into it a little bit later, but it's super intense. It's almost impossible.
But from the guy who I'm sure is one of the advocates of the blue shell and anybody can win the race,
Yeah,
like
I don't know.
is not the same type of person who would like a truly challenging racing game that rewards skill.
While I liked Mario Kart 7 on the 3DS, I liked it enough to finish it in 2 sittings, like all of the single player content, every single thing.
Yeah, I tore it up pretty quick, and then even when you go online, I'm like, I won. I forgot what the number of the times, but I raced. I spent one night, like I played for hours, and however many races I did, I'm like, I won first, and then the next one, it's like, oh, blue shell 6th, and it's like, nope, it's totally nerfing my ability to win, and it's like, I'm sorry, I got
remember
matched
when the
up.
Star Cup meant something.
Yeah,
Well, it's the same. I just started playing Pikmin 3, and I think Pikmin 3 is like one of the densest games Miyamoto's
really cool.
put his name to, but it also like you can see all these they like put themselves through like they jump through so many design hoops to add like changes to it. Like look, you can have 100 days if you want, just keep finding juice. It's your own pace. No pressure, guys. No pressure. Like
does the fruit respawn when you go back in the level?
no, I just think there's a lot of it.
So.
Okay.
But thinking about the music,
Yes,
it
please.
kind of reminds me of Japanese Federation wrestlers theme songs.
Yes, of course.
That's what it reminds me of. I hear these things and they're really good for like 45-second loops, and it's like perfect. Like all those.
Yeah, I mean that's what a lot of them are.
Yeah,
I
a lot
think
of
that the
songs.
Kate Allen song would have been improved by a little 1990s loop. Woo!
Yeah.
I'm just imagining a Japanese guy with like bleached and feathered hair with his arms up, like shaved chest, coming out to like this song. Little pyrotechnics,
Pointing at himself with his thumbs.
I just imagine some
Blood Crew.
crappy Levi's commercial shot in the Bronx and distorted camera angles.
Well, right, but this song was made in 2004.
But you'll fly.
Well,
Are
do you
your
guys
Looney
remember?
Tunes guys with the baggy jeans?
Well, I mean, do you guys remember the whole big deal they made over this and the Triforce architecture and all
Yes,
that?
it was like
Wow.
it was Nintendo getting involved in arcades for the first time, I guess, since Cruisin' USA and Killer Instinct.
And it was like 'cause the GameCube was in trouble. By 2002, they recognized that, and so part of that was them and doing this outreach to Namco and
Using
Sega.
arcades as a crutch.
Sorta.
Well, in
Well,
Japan, it's still a valid.
yeah, they were like, "Hey, you guys can make arcade. We'll help you make arcade games, and we'll put them out on the GameCube as well." Though I don't think Namco Star Fox wasn't an arcade game,
not
but
that I know of. But like the
but
Mario
Namco
Kart
had a Mario Kart.
Yeah, the Mario Kart arcade game and the F-Zero arcade game, which the only time I ever saw it was going to Nintendo's office in Redmond.
Huh.
And
I was
they
going to
had
make a
one.
joke about it. It's distributed one place in America, the Santa Cruz Boardwalk, has the 8-person Mario Kart kiosk.
Really?
It's really cool. Yeah, and they just came out in Japan with a new one, a new Mario Kart.
But yeah,
arcade.
my
The
first.
most interesting thing about this, I think, is that during this period, this was the initial D arcade period, at least at my local arcade.
yeah.
So every time I would go to the arcade, I'd be like, play some baby game with space cars. I'm playing the one at the Mazda FD.
Yeah, I'm playing one with the '93 Honda.
Yup, which I'm tuning out.
Did AX didn't come to America? though,
eyebrows
right?
really went up at the '93 Honda.
I was like, can I talk about the DK9?
I wish arcade games have DLC.
I remember being
anyway.
surprised too that Amusement Vision, who I only knew as the Monkey Ball guys,
it's the Monkey
that
Ball.
made this game. Like,
It's crazy. Like it's a game that's so like Monkey Ball is I mean, for what it's worth, Monkey Ball is also a very visually interesting game.
Oh yeah, and it can get very challenging.
Yeah, it is. It is like this nice curve. So it's like when I see amusement vision, I'm like, actually, yeah, there's a really good precedent for why they should work on this game. Anyway, so the rest of the pilot themes are also divided into two categories. So you had what we did before, which is kind of just wrestler intro music, and then there's now, which is like balls out electronic stuff with like some almost nondescript lyrics that you can't even tell what they're saying, and that's another like percentage of these things, and they're really. I mean, I love all this stuff in a way that I don't think I could ever adequately explain in words. But we'll do 3 of these really quick, which is...
He's gonna try.
I'm going to try. Black Shadow, which I think is like the main villain of the game. It's been so long.
Yeah.
Like
all I know about is when he gets punched in the face in the classic video.
Yes, he's the one with the...
Gundu Shienzu.
Golden punch, and that's him getting
exploded.
Yes.
Yeah, and his face explodes.
The expense of the whole world?
Yes.
The galaxy.
He's
The
filled with
galaxy.
energy.
Black Shadow, which is like this super intense, like deep bass, like pitch black Vin Diesel impression going... What this...
Can I hear a little more of Henry's Vin Diesel impression?
What? I really can't.
Come on, give me some Diesels in.
It's not about what you want. It's about family.
Accurate.
It's like my favorite thing ever.
Oh, good. Then Dr. Stewart, which is like hyperactive, basically happy hardcore techno, which if you're a long-time listener... you recognize this from Tokyo Elevator, if any of you remember that.
And this is one of my favorite ones, too. I like that song. I listen to that at work occasionally when it's like spreadsheet time. I just put that on.
Oh, it's total rave house
Where did
nonsense.
you come from? Where did you go?
Yes. Hello, my baby. Hello.
So,
Wow, Tokyo Elevator. I barely remember.
Your next task is to see if that still exists on the server somewhere.
It does. It does.
And how can you make it? It does?
I checked like last year. It was still there. Because I listened to the whole thing, and it's
All the
awful.
old talk radars are on this. They're still on the server.
Making them $0. So my favorite thing about Dr. Stewart, I have this weird memory. I would just go to the pilot themes and just pick one while I would get ready in the morning. But there was one point, I think in 03, where I think I had a date or something, and I put the Dr. Stewart music on while I put this shitty gel in my hair.
As you were slipping your pants off.
Was it LA Looks?
But it was Got to Be.
Jeez. All lowercase?
Yes.
Wow. Hey,
with a number
it.
2. Number 2.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And I'm putting it in my hair with this music on, like, man, I might be the coolest person.
Throws on a slap bracelet and struts outside.
So please keep that in mind. And then Mr. EAD, which is named after...
after the famous EAD studio of Nintendo, which Miyamoto was in charge of. Now EAD is like spread. There's EAD Kyoto, which...
That's enough.
EAD Tokyo.
I don't need all that, but that's enough. But also, yeah, that is the character design, though, where it's like he's a weird, doughy, like...
pile of Mario references.
Like, tell it... What is a man? He's like...
Miserable pile of plumbers.
He's like a Teletubby that gave up and just gained a ton of weight and then tore the screen out of its chest and then went on living somehow by black magic.
Well, he's got the Power Star in his belt. He's got a mustache.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes more sense. So, Black Shadow, Dr. Stewart, Mr. EAD, these are pilot themes that are buried like 3 menus deep, and I find this stuff really fun to listen to, but also it's just so crazy to me that it's buried. So we'll be back. really summarizes a man made of Mario references.
Well, it makes me very happy. It sounds a lot like Dick Run Radio.
Yes, it does. Actually.
Very, very much.
What's the professor? His name?
Mr. EAD
or the
Dr. Stewart.
Dr. Stewart. There's like a 20-minute mix of that on YouTube that I will put on occasionally.
Yeah,
when I'm doing something mindless.
My favorite thing of the Dr. Stewart. Oh God, this. I want you to imagine me like trying to put up spikes in my hair filled with gel.
Trying not to put the pacifier in my mouth right when it kicks in.
But it's when the lyrics kick in. That this is so good. Oh yeah! Flick the lights off and on.
Mix it right into Darude Sandstorm, and you're good to go.
Wow. That's the thing. That's actually a very good point.
This isn't the time of Sandstorm. That's
It's post Sand. This is a post Sandstorm world, but
Post not rude.
post Rude world. I have both of those albums. They're all right. To have this thing kind of buried so much, it's like that's no different than a track I would hear on a Tisto, on a Darude, on a
Circa 2005.
Yeah, exactly.
4,
well,
yeah.
well, 2003 is when the
Right,
game came
okay,
out.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like that's the same kind of stuff people were paying money for
That's
to
true.
go twerk. To go tweak out in Vegas for a weekend and listen to that kind of music, and here it is, just kind of with a scientist. That's his theme song, and it's this dude with like a button-up vest and this perfect haircut. Yes, and basically like
Worked at
Egon.
NASA.
Yeah, he
gave
looks
up
like
his
Egon.
job
He's
at
like
NASA
Egon
to
with
race
this-
cars.
So anyway, the other chunk of these pilot themes. So there's lyricless kind of game music wrestler themes. There's that stuff we just heard, which is like crazy techno or kind of all over the place sound with some lyrics that are kind of really hard to follow. And then there's this stuff, which is like top 40 level. And I say this like in the most sincere way, like top 40 music and pop music in general. We all know extremely formulaic. It's not hard to write that kind of song. You need the right channels. You need the right stuff to get it out to the right people to mindlessly buy it to make you a success. But all you ever need is that one song. Some of these songs are like halfway there or 3/4 of the way there where they're like, I hear worse songs on the radio every day.
Yeah.
And the fact that this is just kind of lost to a video game soundtrack,
Yeah.
that's what astonishes me is that someone...
Whatever the hell Enrique Iglesias is doing.
Yeah,
as he
like
reinvents
the
every
music
time.
that they were going to put through Shoji-san and Kasho-san, as well as music, as well as like some lyrics and stuff by this guy named Alan Bray, who's on Twitter as well, at Alan Bray, did some of the lyrics. In fact, he sang some of the songs in here
What?
that have lyrics. And so some of the times when you're like, who sang that Captain Falcon theme song? That's the guy, which we'll get into at the end of the show.
His only tweet is to please help me get a free MacBook.
No, there was a dude like B-R-E-Y?
Hey.
Yeah, B-R-E-Y for Alan Bray, by the way. He's in Tokyo. He's
everything about
responsible for this music that I love so much. But like, here's some. I did want to play quickly before we go into this. So this is a kind of an example, but this is a rock one.
Yeah!
This is not as friendly,
That's what I'm talking about.
but I more think this is funny because of the screaming lyrics, like "Instruments of
Yeah.
Destruction" that we love so much, and that this was enough.
It is like a...
Wow.
it is like a poor man's Rob Halford from like Judas Priest is what that
Yeah,
reminds
it
me
is.
of.
It is. I just want a good scream. I just want a good scream, dude.
I like how he screams so loud, but it's so low in the mix that it still sounds like it's being drowned out.
Yeah, like the mix on a lot of these is bad, except for these songs we're going to go into where the lyrics are like given front and center, and it's like, as a musician, I'd be like, I'm going to tuck these away. I'm not going to use them for a game soundtrack because there's no guarantee that this is going to go anywhere. If I just save them and try to bide my time, I've written these bubblegum nonsense lyrics about we're going to make it together or there we are together. Like, it's just the exact kind of thing that people buy and consume and forget about 90 times a second. And here it is, just kind of thrown away in
Put
a
a
game.
Disney Channel actress behind
Yes,
some of those
yes,
songs.
literally put
You're printing money.
Selena Gomez behind any of these songs, and they're #1 hits tomorrow.
Well, that's the plight, man. The working musician cranks out
Yeah,
studio musicians like this. They probably record 10 songs a week,
That's
and it's like, yeah,
yeah. So we'll do Mrs. Arrow, which again, like this could have been an actual like. Here's the thing: they do verse and chorus, and that's almost all you need. You just like write another verse of like six
Verse.
of like 6 lines. Make sure they rhyme, maybe. Repeat the chorus again. Repeat the chorus at a higher pitch, and then just like do some musical interlude, and then the song is over. So these are like all like blueprints of songs that could have become things. And again, I'm astonished that they're where they are. Mrs. Arrow, Jack Levin,
Jack Lemmon.
Jack Lemmon, formulaic music, super infectious stuff.
Close the deal.
Super Arrow, who I think is married to Mrs. Arrow.
Hey.
Vaguely faith-affirming thing that might be about God, I can't tell. Digi Boy, which is like Puffy Yami Yumi, and then James McCloud,
Yes.
which when we come back,
Oh, yeah, him.
when we come back, we'll talk about James McCloud, and so we'll be back.
what you're gonna do next and make it feel the way you want me to feel. But it's the logic and reason that keeps me awake. I know you wanna steer me into the ground, but what I see is just another form of madness. It takes another way for you to break down. It's just to let you go first and make a mistake.
So, man, I'm sweating. Why am I sweating so much?
It's so funny. It's so intense.
That James McCloud song is the best.
It's fantastic.
And also, like, the fact that he is... So, Fox McCloud's father is named James McCloud. He looks just like Fox, but with a human head.
He's like if you were going to deviant art yourself
Yes.
as a Star Fox character is what he looks like.
If you had rudimentary, like, Bryce 3D technology or something to just build a character out of. But yeah, like you were pointing out, like... And the lyrics, so I looked up because I was so interested specifically in this game. So I think the lyrics, the vocals in this are by Nick Moroishi, which again the song is by Daiki Kasho and Alan Bray, because you were like, Alan Bray is like clearly an English speaker, and the way that this dude sings sometimes, it's like, I don't know, it just sounds like an English speaker wouldn't sing that way. And add
It
these
sounds
weird,
like an ESL guy, yeah.
Hero,
Heaver.
and then subtlety.
Sirtle to T. How do you get 5 syllables out of something?
Dude, I have said this. I have said that line. It's been stuck in my head ever since we started talking about doing this show. Is that little green? Is it green or gold?
Green and silver?
Let me go back.
Green and gold wyvern?
Green and gold. Shining little green wyvern. Ah,
It's the subtle stuff. But yeah, we looked this guy up, and I believe he's in a band, cover band that's called Tons of Sobs.
Tons of sobs.
Tons of Sobs, and they cover like Cheap Trick and like
Well,
Thin
it
Lizzy
sounds
and
like-
stuff.
Oh, that's the thing.
So,
All
yeah.
this sounds like Cheap Trick or Train or whatever you want. Like isn't it nuts though? Like all these songs are like, yeah, you could have made a healthy sum on any
Well,
of
he's
those.
clearly a working musician. Like that's
Yeah.
what he does. Like everything about that guy just seems like, yeah, I just play in this band, and I
Yep.
just do cover songs and do gigs at bars and stuff.
I just want them to know I care. And I love it, and I just wish that they all had more money.
Studio musicians and
I
like
know.
workaday musicians never get enough love.
Kind of
man.
like doing a podcast on charity. It's like, it's
Aw.
really hard. You need that money, right, Chris?
What a segue.
Go to Shop Through Laser Time. Amazon.
I'm back. Wait, are we plugging stuff?
Show's over, Chris. We're done.
You blacked out.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll do 3 more songs quickly that are back to. Well, these are like 3 more songs that I think are back to instrumentals, but they're all 3 very different types of music, just to show like the variety that happens when you have to make 30 theme songs.
Right.
So one of these is PJ. I don't know. Jody Summer, which is this nice little acoustic come down, take a breath. And then Biorex, which is a KMFDM guitar riff with screaming over it. And
He's also Byrex is a lizard man.
he's a lizard man that races. And we'll be back. that I keep taking away from a lot of this is like
the middle song?
Jody Summer.
The acoustic one. The one that sounded like I
Silence
was
the
reading the
Lamps
weather.
Made Now. That's the song. Not that.
Yeah.
That's a Katamari song. The one with the Calliope is the song.
The
that
clown song.
Buffalo Bill dances in front of you while holding food when you're tied to a chair. So, yeah.
I was saying, like, if Mad Clown was in that new Punch-Out Wii game, this would be his theme song.
Put the lotion in the basket. Oh, did you want chicken wings?
I can't have you sullying this game in that way. But like that's
That
the
cannot be the song you put on your playlist. I can't allow it.
it's in there. I'm sorry, but that's the thing is like I can click on any of these like Silver Nielsen. Hey, it's a country Woodbox Gang song.
4-bar blues. My baby broke my hover car. Now I can't race. My dog exceeded my credit card limit. Now I can't buy.
I need space credits. I got the Space Credits Blues.
Blues, man. That's a Space Blues is an untapped market.
No, this is pretty good too. Phoenix.
That sounds like Moby. When Moby gets hard.
Oh yeah.
Here we are now on a down in the South Town.
All this stuff is completely buried in the menus.
It sounds like his cover of That's When I Reach for My Revolver. Have you guys heard that?
Yes, I have.
So I wanted to point out really quick. You mentioned earlier the story mode. So
Yes.
story mode is taking Captain Falcon through 9 chapters, I think, of increasingly difficult tasks.
So with a quick question with F-Zero and F-Zero X, was Captain Falcon like the main character, or was he like the de facto star? Or did he kind of ascend to that point after Smash Brothers made him?
After Smash Brothers, he was designated as the representative of F-Zero.
I feel like
Well, I
that's
think James McCloud is clearly gonna be the star.
Oh, that reminds me. But so I think between F-Zero X and then Smash Brothers just a year later, I think that's what cemented his ability to be the star.
I see.
Falcon punch!
Every time I hear a series of grunts preceded with the Falcon, I'm like, everything's fine again.
You know it's coming. Wow, I need that one.
That's what Jigglypuff puts him to
must
sleep.
be. Yeah.
Oh yes, but so the story mode, chapter 3 is Captain Falcon pulling up in his space hovercraft to a bar, which is like a Star Wars cantina more or less, and he pulls up and basically what happens in here, because you can't see it, if only you could see what I'm talking about. It's a cutscene. It's him pulling up to a bar. He walks in. Nothing going on here. Silver Nielsen, who's the old man you heard before, the song we heard before, with the Space Blues. He walks in and he's like, "What a scam!" And he has 1 coin left, and he wants to enter this race, and he can't. And he drops the coin. Captain Falcon picks it up. He's like, "You can race for me. Let's go." That sets up the race you're about to go on. Underneath it all is like a Depeche Mode-ish song that's just playing, and it's no one on the internet has been able to isolate it, even though apparently the disc was hacked to find AX stuff on it. So I'm like, please, someone just rip this song out of it, because I really want to hear this. It starts off just like background music. You're like, okay, whatever. So he's pulling up. And again, this is like a really well animated cutscene. Again, this game looks.
They put a lot of work into
It does
this
look
cutscene.
really good. I saw this cutscene.
It's very expensive looking. So here's Silver Nielsen. He does have the Space Blues. What's this 1 coin? Drops the coin. It rolls down the table. Captain Falcon picks it up, and here come the lyrics.
You're the famous Falcon. Please, I beg of you, enter the bet race. What? Where? Please, consider it an old man's last request. Just calm down. We will
Captain Falcon having any sort of dialogue with people.
It's bizarre.
going to start. Hey, where do you think you're taking me? Wait.
This still looks surprisingly good, even by my current standards.
BioRex drinking in the corner. So then it culminates with a chorus of just the word F-Zero.
It's just, I love that they're padding out a world in a racing game.
Yeah.
Nobody does that. Like,
it's-
to see it in that is pretty cool. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's an anime called Red Line that came out a year or 2 ago.
I've heard of it.
It is absolutely gorgeous in the exact same thing.
Oh,
where it's
yeah,
like
you
it's
showed it to me for a second.
We need to watch it.
Yeah.
But it's just like a lot like the Wachowski brothers Speed Racer movie,
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like it's all about the racing, but to have any kind of narrative sense, you need to have a world strapped around it. And it's
Yeah.
kind of fun seeing where it's just like all I do is drink in space bars between my races.
Well, then, what is the famous John Goodman line from Speed Racer? Like,
Ninjas, more like Nanja, I think.
no,
is
like
what-
you can't. Racing isn't life, or you got. There's some line about
I know what you're talking about.
where he's like, you can't. There's more to life than race, and just the kind of hackneyed thing you would expect to see in there. Like,
I just remember the line like, "If you don't go with us, you're not going to win. You're not going to place. You won't even finish the race."
Yes, the evil corporate guy.
I need to watch this movie.
Have you never seen it?
No, I've never
Pretty
seen it.
insane, dude.
I have it on
like
Blu-ray, and I will watch it anytime.
It's one of the most gorgeous. Like when I got
It
my
is-
Blu-ray player, nothing really blew up my skirt until Speed Racer. That movie is ridiculous.
I don't want to
cannot believe
soapbox
was
it, but that
made.
movie is mad underrated, and I love the hell out of it.
All right, well,
Didn't say all that. I think it's perfectly rated.
but Takaya Imamura, who's the supervisor from Nintendo, did say as far as the F-Zero world that Amusement Vision created manages to remain true to our original vision for the series while adding a large number of unique features and new challenges. So, again, like you said, they bothered to build a world. And as far I think as far as any racing game goes, is this the most fleshed out world? Maybe not, but it's in the running.
The drivers matter to an
the fact that
insane
all the
degree,
and then, there is an anime separate, and F-Zero GP Legend, which did come out a year later on DS, which is also good, is tied into that anime. So I guess it has more stuff written about it than you would ever.
As far
expect.
as fictional universes, it's probably the most fleshed out.
Not the real world racing drama.
Well, you know, San Francisco Driver. You've got games that are they have stories. They're set in like world places.
I guess.
The only San Francisco driver I'm into is when it's 2049 and you're on a stunt track.
So moving on.
Yes.
Out of the pilot themes, which again, like I said, there's so much more in there, but I got to stop at some point. Is just some of the actual tracks, and again, because you're racing, and again, this feeling of 60 frames a second, gorgeous tracks, this feeling of these courses that are not physically possible because you're a hovercraft floating a mile above the city. Like it's just.
This game is painfully fast. Like,
It
even
is
to look at it
so
and do it
fast.
is incredibly fast. And I think that's like, you were talking about it, how it was like, where did he go from here? Because it's like, it's already almost incomprehensibly fast.
Like,
where
X is already too fast for me.
Most people can't, I mean, me included, I can't deal with it. It's just too fast, and it's like, but it has its own kind of appeal.
Well, and speaking of the courses, they brought back Rob the Robot. Like, I think they were the first. They were the first people to recognize Rob in an official game in a very long time.
Port Town. I can't remember what track that is.
After that, Nintendo put Rob in Smash Brothers Brawl and
Which was,
Mario Kart DS.
Which was 5 years later, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying. I think Sega
it was the first time Nintendo
reminded Nintendo, like, hey, you can do stuff with Rob. Like,
you can embrace your failures.
Yeah.
Embrace every part of yourself, and I think that
We're
for me,
Sega,
that
we're
did
not
start
ashamed.
at the same time when I saw Rob as like this industrial machine in the background. Like, that's fantastic.
It's super cool. So we'll do 3 tracks. Big Blue, which is from F-Zero 1, but this to me really summarizes, like, when you hear Big Blue on Super NES, which is a classic song that everyone knows pretty well. It's next to Mute City, I would say. This is like when you hear all the embellishments and flourishes put into this really embodies how F-Zero GX grew up and raised the stakes from the original. Like, you listen to the Super NES one, I still love it, but it sounds like Super NES song. This sounds like, it still sounds like game music, but it has this like elevation to it that just makes it seem bigger, and a scope is raised, and that's what F-Zero GX in general does to the entire brand of F-Zero. Next is Firefield, which is the last stage of the first F-Zero, but this music is totally new. It's not an homage to an existing song as far as I know. But imagine this song playing on a stage that's a tube, that's just a cylindrical tube that all 30 cars are attached to because you're magnetically attached to it via this hovercraft. But the faster you go, the more likely it is that that hold starts to give, and you can feel the car like, whoa, 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 proximity humor. And with this music going nuts, you can... Like, that gets back to this experience that no game offers that. This feeling of, this is a race that is not physically possible. No one else is trying to give me this experience. This is why I want F-Zero to come back, because if this is the idea they had 10 years ago with GameCube technology, I want to know what they can think of now.
I will pre-order this game.
Thank you. That's all I want. And then we'll do Lightning, which to me is... it sealed the deal for me, which is... I forgot the name of the actual track. The track might be Lightning. I can't remember. But this is like... It's like Tekken 3 style, that kind of music, but it really does, like, this finally felt cool. Nintendo has always had a problem, like, being the cool one. And this was a case where, like, this game, the aesthetic, and when I'm racing on this level, I'm like, I can believe for a moment, this is a cool-ass game. This is like a game I don't have any asterisk next to it about... Mario's fun, but it's not cool necessarily.
Right.
Yeah, oh yeah.
This was a case where F-Zero, I'm like, this is cool.
I agree with that. And I think, too, when you see Gran Turismo and Forza getting yearly sequels, it's like, you have room in your stable for, like, a more hardcore racing game than Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And I mean...
Yeah, but when Mario Kart, like, they can always count on it to sell.
Yeah.
That's true.
10 million copies.
Yeah.
Why make at best, 2 million selling?
Make a bunch
F-Zero?
of, like, knockoff cars that look like real cars, and then I'll buy it. I'll show up for that.
So we'll do these Big Blue, Firefield, Lightning, and you guys. really is like Tekken style, like Uzi shooting Matrix lobby scene kind of stuff. And while you're racing in a track that's like rain sweeping across and lightning shooting everywhere, it's like this is maybe the coolest, like in the strictest sense of the term cool. This is what that felt like. Where I'm like, this is awesome. This is what I'm
out of approval from Poochie.
This is Poochie, thumbs up. 2 paws up from Poochie.
It's to the extremes, Poochie.
It is.
It is without like trying to beat you over the head with like we're to the like it's not called F-Zero Extreme or something.
Yeah,
I think
that's probably what they would call it now.
Probably.
You get to feel that because it comes from a Japanese developer, it's like it's them emulating that idea of cool, and it's not just like a bunch of executive people being like, "This needs to be hip and cool and
sunglasses."
Sunglasses. It just
Put
feels
more
like
lasers in over there. I'm going on break.
Yeah. I've done my job. Please put my name at the top. Presented by me.
I'm off to Vegas, baby.
So we'll do really quick 2 more songs from GX, which is another tracks. This is Red Canyon, which is another level in F-Zero 1. It's the one with the big arrow you can bounce off of. It's also the one in that video that went around YouTube lately of the newscaster playing with himself superimposed over the car. that
video is amazing.
It's incredible. Red Canyon is and it's from like 1991. Like the Japanese want all our money.
We need to link this in the
probably. It's crazy. It's like a 1991 newscast where it's like, and it's literally like Perd Hapley level. Like, and now I am playing the video game, and here you see, and it's this idea that how has no one thought to just superimpose himself over the F-Zero car?
Every game review should be done like that.
It really should.
It's so funny.
And you'll see now
so funny.
I'm going the
wrong way on the track. At least I recognize that. Internet 20 years later.
But Red Canyon is a level, and this is an updated version of that theme. And then Cosmo Terminal, which is a great example of a level that F-Zero does that's so cool, which is starts flat, everyone's on the same level. You hear this kind of boilerplate techno music kind of start. And then
boilerplate techno is a great gamer tech.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then all of a sudden the level just like the track splits into 3, and it goes like it just goes in this area where like you can look up and right, up and left, and like because your hovercrafts, you're sealed, you're attached to the track. So the track can now detach from the main track, and you can choose which way you want to go, and you can watch these 3 different parts kind of crisscross with each other and like loop over each other and do all this crazy crap that's like, this is the kind of stuff I want to see in HD. Like, you were already like creatively ahead of the curve, and I've not seen anything else do.
Did we mention that the F-Zero GX was the closest step Nintendo had made towards HD in general?
I mean, it's definitely got. At the time it had progressive scan.
Not a lot of other Nintendo games had that, and
No.
did not have that on the Wii.
No,
Well, not many PS2 games.
Yeah, exactly.
no. Metroid Prime was one, but even Metroid Prime, even though it's progressive scan in 02, which was still pretty cool, and most TVs weren't taking advantage of that. Even like a 480p signal wasn't even something you really could advertise
That's
as
for rich people.
Yeah, it was like
Right,
I was using S video and component cables, and I thought I was above.
I think
the
I
curve.
saw the same RF adapter that I had with my NES. Not really. I did use the same RF adapter up till about like halfway through my N64
Yeah.
lifetime, and then my friend, like, when he saw me playing Ocarina of Time with that, he then tore the RF adapter out of the TV and plugged in just the regular signal. He's like, "Do you see how much better that is?" I was like, "Oh, I didn't know my TV could do that."
God,
It's so funny that like PC gamers will spend several $1,000s on a graphics card, but back then it was just like, just get a different set of cables and it looks way
Yeah,
better.
it immediately looks better. Like my Sega CD was the first thing I hooked up with not an RF switch, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can actually see things."
I had hand-me-down TVs that didn't have any inputs on them, so I was like, RF switch.
RF switch all the way. And then the other song, but yeah, Cosmo Terminal. That's just like this very cool, like it was this like, and it's pretty late in the game too, so it's very much a horizon broadening thing where you're like, wow, they saved this for the end, and there was this great build up. You've done all these other crazy courses that like do loops and back over themselves and corkscrew and all these physically impossible things. And here we are with this level that's like, this is just totally crazy with like Matrix code running in the background. So we'll do those 2 and be back. So, yes, imagine that while going 3,000 miles an hour or kilometers.
That's what I want to hear.
It's nuts. Like, it's so
I don't want to
good.
hear piano jazz from Gran Turismo
No,
in
I
that
don't-
situation.
I don't
That's
need
not
that.
what I want. No.
So that's the show. FZGX, 10 years old this month. I really hope it can find a way to live again on whether it's Wii U. I know there was talk of, like, maybe GameCube games coming digitally.
I mean, that should be their next frontier.
There's no reason not to.
But,
when
like,
they
that was
pro-
like a-
virtual console.
But that was like a rumor when the system was launched, so who knows
Yeah.
if that's actually true. So.
But I mean, what are the chances of me buying a GameCube and buying this game?
Exactly.
Pretty high, actually, because your enthusiasm is rubbed off on me.
It's my favorite, even despite my four Zelda tattoos and getting a Wind Waker one this fall, to coincide with the HD re-release of Wind Waker, whatever it's called.
Is it going to be the boat?
No, nothing with a face, Henry.
All right.
It's gonna. I'm gonna get the baton on my forearm here
Okay.
with a bunch of purple smoke swooshing around it.
Okay.
Purple and black poof cloud.
I like that.
It's going to be great. Look forward to it at PAX East next year. Or maybe New York Comic Con if I'm ready. It's done in time. I'll wait till after. I don't want to mess with you before that. So PAX East, look forward to my new tattoo. But on that note, like Metroid Prime, probably my favorite GameCube game because Metroid is like this series is very near and dear to my heart. But F-Zero GX is like if I was going to try to convince anyone to play something on GameCube as like no, you really should like put in the time to get good at it because the result is like so visually stimulating and above and beyond anything else that entire generation really had to offer on such a like sensory overload level. That's why I love it so much.
It's crazy to me now that a GameCube game can be a decade old. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's been true for like 2 years. The
Yeah.
GameCube turned a decade old, but still, I never really thought about it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yes, I was just about to graduate college.
Well,
I was in my senior year of college.
Well, you were also mentioning The Matrix. I think I remember we did. Well, I was not on that episode, but you did a podcast where you were celebrating the 5th anniversary of the Matrix Revolutions.
No, I was celebrating.
Reloaded.
I was celebrating Matrix being 10 years old,
Oh, was that? I
Which
thought
is
it was 5 years.
99 to 09.
My bad.
It was Talk Radar 44, and
My mistake.
the problem was Matrix 1. I don't have anything to make fun of, so in that episode, I spent most of the time making fun of Reloaded.
Which is now going to be 10 years old.
Yeah, which was 03, and is in fact now 10 years old, and Revolutions, or whatever it's called, will be 10 years old in November.
Yep.
Which also means Ang Lee's Hulk is 10 years old. Wow. Anyway, that's the show. Thanks for listening, as always. We took a bit of a break before this one, and there is a Rock Block October coming. I've got the series...
Rocktober.
I've got the series picked out. I think it's going to become a staple of VGMpires every October to do a big theme month. It's another series where I'm like, there's no way to do this other than a Castlevania style, 4 weeks, 4 episodes, no prisoners kind of thing. Plugs, everyone?
Cape Crisis, my comic book podcast. Listen to it. And follow me at HENEREYG on Twitter.
on Saturday.
Also, I write about video games on GamesRadar.com.
That's enough. Where can they listen to Cape Crisis, though?
On LaserTimePodcast.com or
Yeah.
CapeCrisis.com.
Nice.
I talk about comic books. You'll love it.
LaserTimePodcast.com. This week we are talking about the worst accents. Maybe we should have been more specific of worst accents from white people
There you go.
and not of Americans.
Usually accent, no problem.
We did talk about. I want to do a bad
Get
Southern
out of here,
accent.
stalker.
Yeah, a little bit. Yes, there you go. You're doing Brad Pitt
Go and
from
get-
7 Years in Tibet.
You
We
get
discussed
out
that.
of my kitchen.
Tim Curry in Congo.
Find the
You're
kid's
right. We did that
body
too.
in the wasteland.
We did that too.
All right, let's move this along.
That's Mary Tyler Moore's.
Michael Grimm at Pseudo Bread. Follow me on Tumblr, Vice Principal, spelled as the belief system,
Not the judicious man that ran your high school. Thank you.
So, a belief, not Principal Skinner.
No.
I also plug my Tumblr, which is comic book related. It's sequential fart, and it's just funny, out of context comic book panels, whatever.
They're pretty great.
It's
that
fun.
Beast one today was amazing.
I was actually hooked. Someone hooked me up with that, who will remain nameless. Yes,
Chris
but
Claremont.
shut up. So, taking us out is the only song to take you out of an FZGX podcast is the Captain Falcon theme, the Talk Radar 20 listeners, which is still one of like my favorite episodes, and kind of a notable episode in of itself. This was a song we had a lot of fun with. It's something I genuinely love listening to, but it is this weirdly like Super Arrow, this vaguely faith affirming. Is Captain Falcon God? Is he praising God? Is he singing about me, the player, and I am the hero to him? I don't know what the layers of this are, but it's like I think Captain Falcon. It's it is a song professing unending adoration for Captain Falcon.
If Jesus was Captain Falcon, I'd be a Christian. That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying he would have to show me his moves.
I really wish you worked for like a really reputable organization so that could be putting a quote somewhere.
Falcon, come on! Yeah.
So that'll be the song taking us out. I love this song a ton. It's like this is the song where I think he's the default pilot theme when you go to pilot themes. This is the first thing they greet you with. So you're already like, wait, what? I have to listen to all 30 of these now, and this is the song that made me infatuated with this game to this day. Vocals by Alan Bray. It's super good. See you next time. VGMpire.com. Thanks for listening.
In this world, you've got to be strong. You've got to fight to keep your spirit alive. And you might feel like there is nothing left to go for and fight for. But it's the fight that keeps us ready and on guard. Even I can feel the power. When I think of him, I see no fear, feel no pain. Forever he will be my hero. Every deep he knows the way, not just only for tonight. And now that I'm not just a dream, and I know I've got what he's got, and not just only for tonight. I can feel the power. When I think of him, I see no fear, feel no pain. Forever he will be my hero. Every deep he knows the way, not just only for tonight. And now that I'm not just a dream, and I know I've got what he's got, and not just only for tonight. Forever he will be my hero. And now that I'm not just a dream, forever he will be my hero. And now that I'm not just a dreamer, forever he will be my hero. And now that I'm not just a dreamer, forever he will be my hero. And now that I'm not just a dreamer.
Casey's mom's got
Going.